I was only 45 years old, when today 19 years ago a tragedy of the modern world took place which started a horrible era of cheapening the blood of the Muslims living on earth. And even today the color of this planet is stained with the blood of Muslims, and the colorful atmosphere is constantly saddened by the screams, sobs and groans of the oppressed and innocent Muslims. This condition is visible only to those who see and feel it. According to Mir Taqi Mir, if you have eyes, you have a mirror. In the foggy evening, the Pakistani television screen showed a plane hitting the World Trade Center in New York. The world watched in amazement for hours at all these scenes, as if scenes from a Hollywood movie were being shown. The smoke and screams lasted only a few hours, in which 2,970 Americans lost their lives, but revenge for the deaths of these 3,000 Americans is still being taken from the entire Muslim world. The Afghan soil in the neighborhood of Balochistan had just embarked on a journey of peace under the leadership of Mullah Muhammad Omar after a long period of bloodshed. A convoy consisting of 50 Afghan Taliban with a victory in town of Spin Baldak on November 11, 1994 had begun the journey of peace near the border of Chemen, Balochistan, Pakistan. 2 years later, on September 27, 1996, with the conquest of Kabul, a stable, peaceful and trustee of justice, this was shining on the map of the world in the form of Afghanistan. With the peace, end of war, in Afghanistan, peace and tranquility had returned to Balochistan since 1994. As the provinces of Kandahar, Helmand, Nimruz, Zabul, Ruzgan, Ghazni and Paktia were adjacent to the Balochistan border, the inhabitants greeted the Taliban without any bloodshed in 1994, and the flag of the Islamic Emirate was hoisted in these provinces. That is why at the time of the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center, Balochistan was a peaceful region because of the fruits of the Taliban's peaceful neighborhood. Take a look at the list of crimes in Balochistan for these 6 years. You will not find bomb blasts or kidnapping for ransom, car theft or robbery cases. The only reason was that no one could now seek refuge in the paradise of Afghanistan by stealing a car from Pakistan, killing or kidnapping someone. I was the deputy commissioner of Shaghi, which has a border with Afghanistan of about 650 kilometers. During the Taliban regime, people used to travel on the RCD highway in the middle of the district without any fear. I myself used to travel alone from Taftan to Noshki late night without any gunmen or guards. This was the same area where Chinese engineers working on the Sendak were abducted before the Taliban regime, and no foreign or Pakistani officers traveled without guards. Since the foundation of Pakistan, the Survey of Pakistan team was not able to go on the controversial Durand Line for 50 years. During the reign of Mullah Muhammad Omar, a regular survey was carried out of the border in 1998 and the towers installed. Most people from all the border districts of Balochistan, even from Quetta city areas, Pashtunabad, Khairabad, Garag and Chashma-e-Kazai, resorted to the Taliban courts in Afghanistan instead of the Pakistani courts to get the right verdict on their cases. These 6 years of peace and justice in the region were just finished that the events of September 11, 2001 occurred and changed the world of the entire region. After the incident, only 2 forces remained in the area, one pro-Taliban and the other anti-Taliban. The whole region was divided into 2 tents, just as the whole world was divided into 2 parts, one is pro-US and the other is anti-US. Allah's stated division came before the world without any hypocrisy. What a clear division, Allah says, so whoever disbelieves in Taghut, that is, those who trust Allah, and those who believe in Taghut, that is, their allies are Taghut. Surprisingly, after 9/11, the whole world became a whole group that prostrated immediately in front of the idol of technology, the American tyrant and his allies. Among those who prostrated were Afghanistan's nationalist Democrats and secular minority, as well as all the neighboring countries, Iran, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan and Pakistan. In this era, there was neither a single ruler nor, in fact, a single nation as a whole which cannot claim before Allah on the Day of Judgment that when the whole world, from Australia to Hawaii, who invaded Afghanistan to overthrow the government of 50,000 Taliban, and at that time, we were standing with the unarmed, weak and helpless Taliban. Musharraf was in power in Pakistan. Everyone has to answer for their deeds in the hereafter, and Musharraf's book of deeds will also be opened. But if only the report on U.S.-Pakistan relations, which was presented in the U.S. Senate in March 2004, was opened on the Day of Judgment, the bigwigs would not be able to show their faces. More than 500 Muslims were captured and handed over to the United States. These were kept in the torture chambers of Guantanamo Bay, 99% of whom were acquitted as being innocent. 57,000 times, the American planes flew from the Pakistani airports and returned bombing the Afghan Muslims. At that time, the pro-American technocrats, immersed in the pride of victory and support, Pakistani rulers, intellectuals and the Jaghadri devious media, used to cite one incident over and over again, saying, "Look, when America comes to destroy someone, it's Tora Bora makes." His Salt Hill ministers sitting at Musharraf's table were teaching the whole of Pakistan the lesson that if Musharraf had not prostrated before the United States, our Tora Bora would have been made. Today's popular and rated Sheikh Rashid was never tired of repeating this logic. But today, exactly 19 years later, God has fulfilled his promise to his servants. The Taliban, who had relied only on the master of the universe by denying the gods of the world's material forces and technology, have now become successful by defeating their opponent. Global unity of the world. Never before in human history has there been such a miracle that the whole world, the 8 nuclear powers, the stockpilers of military equipment and the creators of technology around the world, all come together as a whole, and then God Almighty awarded 50,000 Taliban with the victory. Indeed, he is the sole sovereign of this universe. 9/11 has had an impact on everyone's life, and I consider it a great source of good for me. A 45-year-old middle-aged man who was known as a poet and dramatist, and as a bureaucrat, still had a glorious 15 years of his career left. But the events of September 11th changed my world. I stood up with the 50,000 Taliban against the unity of the whole world. The pen that wrote poetry and drama, took the path of their defense. What happened along the way is a long story. But neither the sadness of leaving the colorful world of showbiz came to my heart during this time, nor the greed of any high posting in the next 15 years could shake my feet. Looking back, it seems that just as Allah gave help to these 50,000 Taliban, he also protected me in the same way and protected me at every stage of the remaining 15 years of service, remained unharmed until retirement. He made me an example that even if an employee of the profession stands up for the truth, Allah protects him and does not allow falsehood to prevail over him.